What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. UFC Fight Night. Emmett versus Murphy is this weekend, and it's not the best card, but it is the card before UFC 14, I believe, 314, I believe. Which that card is the card. That's the one we're waiting on. That's what we've been slogging through all these bad cards to get to. And we've had some good fight announcements last night, I think it was. But let's hope we keep getting more and more good fight announcements. You don't want cards like the Macy Barber card coming up. Nobody wants that. It's fucking boring. Anyways, moving on. We will be breaking down the Emmett versus Murphy card from early prelims all the way up to the main event, giving our predictions based on what we think is going to happen, and trying to give some betting advice on that. We're going to start with this. What a way to start, right? Just what a great, what a great fighter to be in the UFC. It's just one of those things. Why this is in the UFC, I have no fucking clue. Hopefully she'll be cut after this fight. Hopefully. Then we move on to another just fantastic fight. We'll see what happens here. Alright, well, we've got a decision by Vanessa Demopoulos. Great job. Great job ruining what could be a fun card with 3 women's fights if you had just plugged other fights in. Anyways, moving to Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao. I think Victor Henry is a very solid fighter. He is getting a little up there in age, but Pedro Falcao is just not one of these guys who, I don't know. He's been in the UFC for 3 years, or well, he won his Contender Series fight and then didn't get into the UFC off of a finish, which means he could not have been that impressive. I don't remember watching it. This guy isn't memorable to me. He lost to Victor Hugo. He's going to lose to this Victor too. We got to hope, at least. He lost to Victor Hugo by decision. Victor Henry's pretty solid as a finisher. He likes to go for a lot of weird like catch wrestling chokes and stuff like that, but I think he's going to end up getting a decision in this fight, controlling Falcao throughout and just landing the better shots. Moving on to Rhys McKee versus Daniel Frenza. We're going to the welterweight division in this. Daniel's one of these guys who just got signed from the Contender Series this year. He had a fun performance, I guess. It wasn't great. I didn't like it. He looked like a bag of milk to me, and I, for that reason, am going to be picking Rhys McKee to win the fight. He gassed out in the second round, if I'm not mistaken, too. His opponent looked really tired. He still got the finish through it, which is good. That's a good sign, I guess. If you're going to be exhausted, you better get the finish. But Rhys McKee has been the more well-rounded of the two fighters. I know that he's going to, or more high-level of the two fighters. I know he's got 2 losses in a row to Ange Loosa and Chidi Njokuani, but those are 2 losses that it's kind of okay to have in the welterweight division. Daniel Frenza's coming off the Contender Series. If you watch this channel, I hate guys coming off the Contender Series against experienced UFC veterans. It just never seems to work out. All that often, at least. I think McKee will end up getting a finish in this fight, based on how Daniel Frenza looked in the Contender Series when he got tired. Very sloppy. But Rhys McKee, I think, will catch him during him being tired, during him being exhausted. Later in the rounds, I think he's going to end up getting a knockout. Oh, God. Back to this. There you go. There's your fun for that. Moving on to Davey Grant versus Daniel Santos. This is going to be a fun fight for as long as it lasts. I'm not sure if there's going to be a finish. Davy Grant always comes to kind of like throw down for a little bit. He throws in combinations unlike most small guys, which I really like. But I think him being 39 years old at bantamweight and having not a tough fight against Ramon Tavares, but, you know, the Davy Grant of old would have really laid it to Ramon Tavares, and he did not beat him in the way that I thought he would. Because I thought Ramon Tavares was a very overrated fighter. I don't think he's got very much skill. It is what it is. Anyways, Davy Grant, very skilled, very fun to watch. Throws in combination a lot. He is 39 years old. Daniel Santos, I think this kid is... He's taken some time off, so I think he's really improved. Coming out of Shoot to Box, I really like that. Their fighter's always aggressive. I think Davy Grant is going to end up getting... I want to say submitted, but I don't know, honestly. I think this should be a fun fight. God, he did just beat Rafael Sunsal 2 years ago, which isn't that long ago. But he should be in good shape still. 3 months ago was his last fight. Yeah. Maybe Davy Grant doesn't age. Maybe he is the ageless wonder like Yoel Romero. But I'm going to be picking Santos. I think they're going to be around the same skill level, but Santos is younger. I think it will be a decision. Maybe you could pick submission. Maybe knockout. I mean, I think you're leaning more submission. But who knows? I think it'll be a very fun fight, though. I think this should be fight of the night. Should be, but, you know, they're going to give it to some other... who knows, actually, on this card. I don't think there's many people they might give it to over that fight. Maybe here. Maybe. Anyways. Moving to Luis Garul versus Ode Osborne. Same thing as the Reese McKee fight. Luis Garul beat Nick Piccinini in Contender Series, and Piccinini in his first fight in Contender Series, I was not impressed at all. I thought the dude that had fought him won, and should have been in the UFC, because the dude that fought him the first time looked way more impressive. He actually looked like a potential UFC level caliber flyweight, but the UFC just does not sign UFC caliber flyweights. Luis Garul, Ode Osborne are both terrible fighters. It is what it is. Like, you're picking between just two terrible fighters. I would rather pick the one who's been in the UFC. The one who is fighting for his job now. Maybe that's the wrong thing to do, but I just think Ode Osborne's better than this guy. I mean, his loss to Ronaldo Rodriguez is looking uglier and uglier as we speak. But I don't know. He's long, rangy for the weight class. It's going to be obnoxious for Garul to deal with. He may be able to grind out a decision by taking him down, but he might knock him out. Honestly, get him against the cage and just throw big shots. But I just don't think that's really part of his game. I think Ode Osborne wins a boring decision, because look at the head on this dude. He's got a fucking blockhead. You're not knocking this guy out at flyweight, typically. I mean, yeah, Davison Figueiredo would have, but, you know, we don't get to have fun fighters in the flyweight division. It's always boring for me. They don't throw combinations. Moving on to Robert Valentin versus Torres Finney. Everything in me wants to pick Valentin to win, but I think that Finney's grappling may be too much for him. I really don't know. These are both debuting fighters for me. Robert Valentin losing to Ryan Loder by TKO that is just pathetic. Ryan Loder's not a good fighter, in my opinion. Yeah, I think I'm going to be picking Torres Finney to get a finish. I think he's going to end up ground and pounding the finish. He very well could end up getting knocked out by knees up the middle or any wild strike that Valentin throws. There's a massive 6-inch height advantage for him. But Finney almost has a reach equalness with him. So, going to be a tough fight for Valentin. If he gets it done, it's going to be by finish. But Finney has multiple ways to win this fight. Moving on to Gerald Meerschaert versus Brad Tavares. I think this would have been such a fun fight a couple years ago. Now we're getting the Unk versions of them. But, it's not too bad, you know. Meerschaert has the reach advantage. I think he will actually... This is crazy to me. Hold on, wait a minute. Who has he been losing to? They really think that Brad Tavares is going to lose. Okay, I mean, maybe it's the case. But, yeah, I think Brad Tavares is going to tee off on Gerald Meerschaert. I love Gerald Meerschaert. I hope he gets the round 3 finish. As always, keep it up, GM3. But, Tavares is just an actual skilled striker and has ridiculous takedown defense. This dude doesn't get taken down. Yes, Gregory Rodriguez took him down, but I don't remember it all that well. And also, his takedown defense is still good. He holds up pretty well. Meerschaert's not atrocious on the feet, but he's not good on the feet. I could see him tagging Tavares a couple times, but Tavares, once he gets used, once he understands the range and gets his feel in the fight, I think he's really gonna tee off on Meerschaert here. Hate to see it. Hope GM3 gets the win, but I don't think he does. Moving to the heavyweight division, we've got Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Martin Buday. It's just another fat guy for Kennedy Nzechukwu to throw hands against. But in all seriousness, this is actually a tough fight for Nzechukwu. This is a big heavyweight, and an actual decently skilled one. But that stands out pretty big. Shamil Deal got it done against this guy. Standing TKO. You never love to see that for a guy. Barely beating Andrei Arlovsky in his last fight. And Nzechukwu's just been the fat guy killer lately. Chris Barnett would have beat him had he not blown out his knee pre the fight, though, so go back and watch it. It was an interesting fight until Chris Barnett really couldn't walk anymore. But his own fat ass did that to himself, so if you weren't fat and blowing out your knee, you would be a probable, welterweight with actual technique and stuff. Well, it is what it is. Anyways, so I got sidetracked. Kennedy Nzechukwu. We've beat 2 fat guys in a row with Lucas Brzezinski and Chris Barnett after getting forced out of the light heavyweight division by OSP. People forget that happened. This could be a close fight. I'm going to be picking Nzechukwu by, I guess, TKO. You can't trust him. You cannot trust him to win. But he is the more skilled of the 2 fighters, I guess you can say. He'll be the faster of the 2 fighters. I think that his hand speed's actually going to be a problem for Buday. But Buday is a big guy, so maybe his grappling, maybe he'll bring it in and wall, put him up against the cage and wall install him for a good bit. Just hold him, stomp his feet, knee his leg, Marab him. We haven't had the heavyweight Marab yet. So maybe that'll be a thing. Anyways, I've got Nzechukwu by round 1 knockout. I think he'll get the job done pretty early. Moving on to Cortavius Romius versus Chang Ho Lee. I don't know these guys. I'm going with Chang Ho Lee. Romius lost. This is a Contender Series guy that lost his Contender Series fight and then won his next Contender Series fight by decision. and then lost to Gaston Bolaños, who I don't know. It just not a good look. He's gonna get finished by KO. I think that Chang Ho Lee's grappling, if I remember right, is good enough to get this guy down, and then I'm just gonna land big ground and pound shots, as I guess Ramon Tavares did. He lost to Ramon Tavares by finish. This Korean guy's gonna get the job done. Moving to Joe Anderson Brito versus Pat Sabatini. This is going to be an actual fun fight for as long as it lasts. I think that Joe Anderson Brito is a very, very skilled fighter, and Pat Sabatini's underrated. Like, I know he's just this white guy that grapples, this small, tiny little white guy that grapples, but like, he's decent. He's decent. His only losses are, or his losses, not his only losses, his losses that I can remember. Oh, that's a bad one. That one stands out. Never mind. The loss to Damon Jackson, but I think that's when Damon Jackson revealed the new hair. Like, I think that's when Damon Jackson had his real confidence back. Like, he was like, oh shit, I've got hair again. I'm gonna knock this dude out. And he did. But then him losing to Diego Lopez, you know, that is what it is. Potential future champion in Diego Lopez. But he beats the other guys of the division. Like, he beat JSP, he beat Lucas Almeida, and he beat fucking, I don't know who this guy is, TJ Laramie. If he can get down Joe Anderson Brito and make this fight last longer, he can make it extremely interesting. There's the problem. I don't think he's going to be able to keep this fight interesting, and I don't think he's going to be able to keep himself in the fight without getting chinned. Brito's a very good fighter. I think his skills on the feet are just outstanding. I think he's going to KO Pat Sabatini in the first round. His fight with William Gomis, you could argue that he won. You could argue either one of them won, honestly. It's a split decision. It was a good fight, though. I think Brito gets the fight done. Round 1 knockout. Very impressive. It'll be very fun to watch. We now move to the main event. We've got Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. Two of these youngsters out here. We've got 33-year-old up-and-coming prospect Lerone Murphy out here developing so many new skills versus Josh Emmett. I want to say, since Dan Ige wasn't able to set up a finish against Lerone Murphy, that I don't think Josh Emmett can, because Josh Emmett's game is very, 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 very limited. And he only throws one strike at a time. He does not throw combinations. He does not set up his big shots. But all it takes from Josh Emmett is one. Like, legitimately, all he has to do is touch Lerone Murphy one singular time on the chin, and the fight will be over. Do I think that Lerone Murphy can keep it perfect against Josh Emmett? I don't know. I think it's a tough fight for him. I think that Emmett being 40 is going to be a problem, I think. Always injured. Always coming off of very long layoffs. Lerone Murphy is coming off not a long layoff. I thought he was coming off this 10-month fight, not the 4 months. Lerone Murphy's been active. He's been winning his fights. He just beat Dan Ige, which is an actual hard fight to get done in this division. Although Emmett did get that done too, and he did it by decision as well. But that was some years ago. I'm going to be picking Lerone Murphy. I'm not 100% confident in this. It's just the Josh Emmett factor. If he touches Lerone Murphy, this fight's over. I do think Lerone Murphy will keep it perfect, though, for the most part. Maybe he gets hit with some shots that just aren't as clean as they need to be. But, yeah, here we'll go back over the cards picks. We'll go Murphy by decision. We've got Brito by KO. We've got Chang Ho Lee versus, by KO for round 3. Inzachukwu, round 1 KO. I mean, I guess based on the finishes of this card, I have an exciting card. Tavares by KO, I could see that one being a decision. Finney by KO, I could see that being submission as well. Ode Osborne by decision, nothing else. Only decision in that fight. Santos by decision, could be a finish in there. Barbosa, it's a women's fight, it's a decision. Reese McKee by KO round 3, that'll be fun. Victor Henry by decision. Vanessa Demopoulos by decision. And Luma Lukmume by a KO, wow. A finish happening in women's MMA? I don't know, there's been a good bit lately, but... Anyways, we'll save these picks. We'll look at our last picks. We did very, very solid on the last card. We went 8 for 12, getting, I think, every way of the fights right. Like, every finish or the manner of victory we got right. We got Moreno by decision, Torres by round 1 KO, Shirez by round 1 submission. We picked Vince Morales to win a decision. It was a fun fight. It was kind of close. He did give Raul Rosas some trouble in that fight. David Martinez round 1 finish, or round 1 KO. We picked Ronaldo Rodriguez to win. That was a mistake. I will literally never pick him again. He's one of the most overrated, overhyped fighters I've ever seen in my life, especially to be a flyweight. Yeah, terrible fighter. Genuinely terrible fighter. Atiba Gauthier by round 1 KO. That was looking like it was going to be a very fun fight. Kind of an early stoppage. Not the earliest, but kind of an early stoppage. We had C-Rod getting fraud checked yet again against a non-undefeated prospect. Pupi Gordinez by decision. Rafa Garcia by decision. Jamal Emmers by round 1 KO. And then Hubbard we picked by decision. Thought he could have got the nod in that one. But we did pretty good on the last card. Yeah, hopefully we do great on this card. Next week is the card we are looking forward to so much. I can't wait for that card. I will see you next time, I guess. Fucking bye.